Hi guys, Geoffrey here. In this video, I want to show you the crucial mindset that has really changed my life and my relationship and really changed the lives of thousands of my clients as well. And it's only when you start to change this mindset in massive ways that my clients really get to get results, and also myself as well as I look back at my own journey. So I don't want you to miss a thing here, so be sure to stick around to the very end of this video for all the bits you need regarding this one mindset. Now, in case you're new to the channel, my name is Geoffrey and I help men in long-term relationships or in marriages with everything you need to create a thriving relationship, especially if you find yourself in the brink of a divorce and you're trying to save your relationship by yourself at the moment. So if you want more content on this topic, be sure to subscribe to this channel and also click the bell button as well to be notified when I post new videos every single week. And before I begin this video too, I also want to let you know that the masterclass on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up is still open. So if you want to join me in that masterclass, or if you want to apply for the Relationships Revival program that I have, then be sure to stick around as well to the end of this video for the announcement on how you can join both those things. So what is this one mindset shift that I'm talking about here? It's really about people's allergy to resistance. So before we talk about what this allergy is, let's talk about what resistance actually is. So first and foremost, guys, there are really 3 forms of resistance. There's active, stoic, and passive. So the active resistance, you'll see this in your partner, for example, when she gets angry, when she starts shouting, screaming, maybe even gaslighting. That's the active forms. The stoic forms, you'll see sometimes your partner will resist in a way where she gets very cold, she gets very stoic, she gets very emotionless. And the passive forms, when your partner is stonewalling and giving you the cold shoulder, ignoring you, ignoring your attempts to talk to her, to communicate, etc. And the second thing to understand about resistance here is really the causes of resistance. So we have a video currently about this already, so I'm not going to go too deep into this right now. But when your partner resists, either in an active form, stoic form, or in a passive form, we often like to attribute it to some character issue. They're narcissistic, there's something wrong with them, they cannot communicate. But in my experience working with thousands of clients, and if you watch any of my client stories and then talking about resistance, you will see that many of them initially thought that it was a character issue, but really it's usually a cultural issue or environmental issue. It's usually from the lack of safety. And that lack of safety creates the need to self-preserve, and that self-preservation creates these active, stoic, and passive forms of resistance. And this is not just something that is exclusive to your partner as well. You do the exact same thing as well. A great example of this is when, let's say, you try to avoid conversations with someone. You either stop listening to them, you stop engaging with them. It's usually not because you're an asshole, but because maybe the history with this person has shown that having conversation with this person may not be the most useful. Maybe this person judges you a lot. Maybe they listen in the wrong ways all the time and takes the wrong things and bends and twists everything you say in the wrong ways and somehow make it about you. And if you have this history of the lack of safety like that, your need to self-preserve here leads to you having that passive resistance. So it's not just something that your partner's doing here, resisting, it's what you do too. And this resistance can also come up in every single stage of the relationship. As we'll talk about as we continue this video, you will see this resistance in the beginning stages, even in the honeymoon periods. You will see some forms of small resistance. You will definitely see this as your relationship breaks down. You will see resistance during the dip when you were trying to get divorced, for example, when she's trying to get divorced. You will see resistance especially through the periods of change when you're trying to recover from the relationship, and you will even get resistance as you continue on in your thriving relationship as well. And I'll show you why this is a bit later. Now, if you're new to my videos and these principles sound a bit foreign to you, then I suggest you watch the video on the stages of the breakdown of the relationship here, because you need to understand these 3 givens very, very well before we move on to the latter parts of this video. So now that we understand that, let's talk about this, what we call the allergic reactions to resistance. So if you can imagine a spectrum with me here. On one end of the spectrum is really when you're getting a lot of resistance. And most people see this side of the spectrum as a bad thing, and they try to go to the other side, which is when they imagine this future of the relationship where they're getting 0 resistance basically. And a lot of people think that getting 0 resistance in a relationship is a good thing, but again, in this video, I'm going to tell you why getting no resistance is actually a really, really bad thing. But first, let's talk about why people get so allergic, so defensive when they find that something in this side of the spectrum when they're getting a lot of resistance. And the first reason here is that a lot of people see resistance from their partner in a relationship as a threat to their manhood, to their self. So we live in this world right now where we are given this rhetoric that if we are a very good masculine man, like we're this James Bond-esque type character who always knows the answers, who is perfectly masculine, perfectly alpha, high value man, etc. When we become this man, that our partner will make it easy for us. You see this in a lot of dating coaches with a lot of movies, for example, when you embody this masculine figure, women will swoon all over you. They'll make it easy for you. They'll make your life so easy. They will just do everything, jump over fences for you. But when we see that our partner's not really making it easy for us through resistance, either active, stoic, or passive, we start to interpret that as, oh, we must not be really a man. We must not be a high value man. Because if I was, then she would not be doing all these things to resist me. So if we hold this faulty paradigms about what it means to be a masculine man, a high value man, then we're going to naturally see resistance, and we're naturally going to get very defensive about it. We're naturally going to be seeing it as a threat. The second reason here is that we often see this as evidence that there's something gravely wrong with the relationship. So again, we live in this life where there's a lot of rhetoric, a lot of videos that says basically, if you're meant to be together, if you're soulmates, you don't have to work so hard in the relationship. And if you have to work so hard in a relationship to save the relationship, to make it happy, to make it thriving, then maybe it's not meant to be. So again, if you get resistance and the relationship starts to get a bit difficult, you start to interpret that as maybe something is wrong with the relationship and maybe I need to find a new relationship. And so again, if we are thinking in this way, then we're going to be very averse to anytime we get resistance, we're going to be quite defensive about it as well. Another thing that we think about is that when we get resistance, we see this as a problem with our partner as well. And you see this with so many videos where if people stonewall, for example, people gaslight, for example, sometimes, we are trying to say here in our program, and why our program gets a lot of success, is that it's not always a character problem. It's usually an environmental problem. And if you change the environment, the culture to create safety, for example, you will see that the behaviors of stonewalling and gaslighting will go away. But if you see a lot of videos on this topic, you will see that they very, very quickly switch this to blaming their partner, or you're narcissistic. There's something wrong with you. You can't communicate. So here, if you have this mindset, when you get resistance from your partner, you're instantly going to blame your partner even more. And you're going to get very defensive about it. And the fourth one is really that we are seeing this as general annoyance or general inconvenience. That whenever your partner brings up a problem, a bad feeling, something she's misunderstood, for example, instantly we see as an inconvenience. We think, oh, now it's going to be a big topic of conversation. Now I need to address this. I'm tired already. We have work tomorrow. Oh, it's annoying. A lot of people who find themselves in this position where, in one extreme, where they're facing a lot of resistance, they see that as a bad thing. And they want to instantly get to the other side where they're facing no resistance. That's their dream, is to face no resistance. Now, we always say also that whatever paradigms you have, the thinking that you have, the way you interpret your world, determines your actions, determines your feelings, and your feelings determine your actions, and your actions determine your outcome here. So if you have all these paradigms of seeing resistance in these negative ways, then when you do get resistance, which is inevitable, this is inevitable just by nature of two people being together, when you get resistance, you will naturally feel bad about the resistance and you will naturally act badly. In this case, if you, let's say, blame yourself, if you, let's say, get insecure about yourself, insecure about your partner, insecure about the relationship, insecure and see it as an inconvenience, then this is actually an environment you're creating for yourself that removes safety for yourself. When you remove that, you need to self-preserve. And when you need to self-preserve, you will find that you actually do a lot of the same forms of resistance that your partner's doing that is causing your resistance back onto her again. So think about this in your own life. Because of all these bad paradigms, you tend to respond with your partner's resistance with your own resistance as well. And this creates a very, very bad cycle in the relationship. So this brings me to my next point, which is the destruction cycle that often happens. And to understand this, we have to go back to this premise again that most resistance is really due to self-preservation. And if you want a video explaining to you how the safety gets destroyed in the first place, I want you to watch this video on the 4 stages of relationship breakdown up above my head, also down below this video as well. That will really teach you how the safety gets destroyed in the first place and the death by 1,000 cuts that occurs to help her get there in the first place. But let's assume the given here that she's already feeling unsafe and she's needing to self-preserve and she's resisting. And whenever she resists you, you interpret that resistance as a threat, which makes you want to self-preserve yourself, and which makes you respond with the 3 forms of resistance as well. Now, when you respond that way, that actually destroys safety for your partner even more, which lowers safety even more, which creates more need to self-preserve, which intensifies that resistance. And so this is why, again, when you find yourself in a breakdown of the relationship, you will see that the resistance from your partner will get more and more intense. And also your resistance will also get more and more intense. And so this cycle, you can see this cycle really happening in real time. And I think if you really reflect back on your relationship and how it broke down, you will see the same thing where your partner resists, which causes your resistance, destroys safety for her, etc., etc., etc. Now, the worst part about this too is that when you're in the cycle, you're blind to how you are actually perpetuating the cycle. So, for example, you might find yourself in a position now where your partner's resistance is so intense to you, towards you, that you interpret her resistance as, again, something wrong with you, something wrong with your partner, something wrong with the relationship, as an inconvenience, and that just makes it worse. And you will feel like thinking this way is such a correct way to think, but you can see how thinking this way just creates and worsens the cycle even more. So leave a comment below if you feel like this is your cycle as well. Comment below with which of the four, it could be a combination of the false paradigms about resistance do you adopt? And do you see the same cycle happening in your relationship as well? And do you find yourself blind to this cycle in your own life as well? Comment below. I would love to hear from you. And now the next point I want to bring up is what we call the eye of the storm. Because as you continue this cycle of perpetuating the destruction of safety like this, the resistance you get doesn't always grow. It actually goes away at some point. So if you go back to the spectrum again here, one extreme of the spectrum is that you get too much resistance and it grows and grows as you destroy safety. But eventually it goes to the other extreme here, which is when you get no resistance. And this stage right here is when people have this false sense of calm. Because when you find yourself in no resistance stage like this, it doesn't mean that you actually removed it. It doesn't mean that there's no resistance in the relationship. It just means that there's so little safety now that your partner doesn't even bother bringing up the resistance anymore, or doesn't even have the energy to bring up the resistance anymore. So this is when the active resistance become very, very passive resistance. So no resistance can sound like there's no resistance, but it's actually the ultimate form of resistance. And this actually happens a lot. If you look at my interview with Jason Travado and his wife, the recent one that we had, and I'm going to link it above my head here, you'll see the same pattern. When he thought that through his toxic behaviors, he thought he was destroying or killing all the resistance and fixing all the resistance, but actually all that was happening was he was destroying safety, which leads his partner to go to the passive resistance of indifference. And this is actually the classic sign of the fact that you don't have any safety. The thing about safety that's so hard to catch, guys, is that you won't know if you lack safety because your partner cannot even tell you without safety that she doesn't feel safe. This eye of the storm that we call it is the peace and calm that is created when you have zero safety. And this is why a lot of people get blindsided in that they will find out that their wife wants divorce and they'll get totally shocked by it. They have no idea that it's coming. But all the signs were actually there if you know where to look. So you can think about this stage like being in a volcano. This volcano is brewing up all this tension and pressure inside. Eventually, that is going to explode. And that's going to explode via that blind side, the bomb dropping, when she says she wants to divorce, when she says there's no hope, when she's totally wanting to leave and separate from the relationship. That's when the volcano explodes. And so what happens is when that volcano explodes, you go from one extreme of no resistance, and now you see that as a resistance again. And when you see that as resistance, you'll act in all these very toxic ways, which will push your partner towards the passive resistance again, of no resistance. And this cycle usually keeps repeating until eventually your partner permanently gets to that passive resistance stage when she says, I'm done, I'm completely done. And I'm sure, guys, if you look at any of my client stories, you will see the same pattern, exactly the same pattern happening. Happens for me, happens for you, probably happens for all my clients. So leave a comment below, guys, if you see the exact same pattern happening in your relationship as well. Now, the next point I want to make is that this is also, this allergic reaction that you have to resistance is also why you cannot treat the hemorrhage or you cannot heal your relationship right now. And so we established that this is why your relationship broke down in the first place, why you got into the cycle, why you got blindsided, why safety gets destroyed in the first place. But it's also why you cannot recover your relationship as well. You cannot save your relationship no matter how many tactics or things that you learn, things that you do, etc. Because when you're trying to save your relationship, you will face what we call the paradox of change. This is when your partner has developed so little trust and so little safety and built up a lot of bitterness here, so much bitterness that she's going to resist a lot. And you see this pattern with a lot of my clients too. Every single one of my client stories. If you look at Jason Travado's and his wife, or Lawrence and Elsha, for example, you'll see that every one of their partners, because they've destroyed safety, will test them through the paradox of change. So these tests are massive opportunities to actually show your new self, show who you are, to actually change her mind. You guys are always asking me, how do I change your mind? Well, this is the perfect opportunity to change her mind, right here, during the moments of intense resistance. And if you want to see a video on the patterns of change for you to understand it deeper, if you're new to my channel, for example, then I'm going to link a video above my head here. It's crucial that you understand this, because a lot of people, because they have this allergy to resistance, they're right in the middle of the patterns of change. Their partner's resisting them in various ways, telling them that there's no hope, don't even try, I will never come back, maybe through active anger, maybe through stonewalling, maybe through gaslighting, maybe through all these different tests that who knows what they form they come in. They're in the middle of this patterns of change, and they're surrounded by and drowning in opportunities to actually get them to change their mind, but they can't see it. They just cannot see it. It's a blind spot for them because they've really programmed this really toxic paradigms about seeing resistance in a wrong way for so long, for pretty much all their lives. So they cannot see through the resistance that's actually staring them right in front of their face right now. That's a massive shame. And just like what that video said, guys, and what I said repeatedly in so many of my videos, guys, if you cannot thrive through the patterns of change, then there's no way you can ever reconcile. There's no way you can ever heal the relationship. And the worst part about this is that during the patterns of change, when you fall into the 4 toxic paradigms that we outlined earlier, you will always tell yourself that you are correct in thinking that way, in feeling certain ways, and in doing certain things. You'll always feel like it's correct. But that's just your old self, your old programmed ways of doing things that has caused the problems in the first place, guiding your future problems. So be very careful of this. This allergy is a major killer. It's not only killed your relationship in the beginning, it's what led to the breakdown, it's what caused you to be blindsided, and it's what will prevent you from actually healing your relationship in any meaningful way. And so again, if you want to see what happens when you're finally able to break through the POC, patterns of change, and what happens if you can't, then I'm going to leave a link above to all my client stories. Feel free to watch them all and really see that all of them went through the same thing, and all of them had to break through the patterns of change. All of them. So guys, we know now that this allergy to resistance is really the root of all why your relationship broke down in the first place, why you cannot save your relationship, why you cannot heal it. And so this is really the first thing you need to do, is to get rid of this allergy in your head. Now, there's 5 things I can give you here. The first is that understand that you cannot ever escape this work, guys. At this stage, it's very easy to interpret your partner's resistance as something wrong with her, try to be defensive about it. For example, you can say, you know what, let me just find a new relationship. I want a partner who doesn't get resistant towards me like this. But understand that that's not only impossible, because entropy will always exist, especially in a long-term relationship. But also understand that the reason why you cannot heal a relationship right now is rooted in the same reasons why your relationship broke down in the first place. So whenever I see people trying to escape this work, and they try to start a new relationship, for example, they find that at first it's great. The new relationship is great, but after 2, 3, 4, 5 years, the same problems keep repeating itself. And it keeps repeating itself at the same cycle that I told you earlier. And so here, instead of learning the lessons now and just reaping the benefit of it for the rest of your life, you're wasting 5, 10, 15 years. And that's a massive shame if you do that, because if you do not get over this allergy to resistance, you can never create a thriving relationship no matter where you go. And the second thing, guys, is I want you to see this resistance as a massive opportunity. So I want you to have this visual here that, you know that game you play where whack-a-mole, where the mole comes up and you can hit it only if it comes up. If it doesn't come up, you can't hit it. Imagine a farm. This farm represents your relationship right now. And there's a bunch of moles under this farm, eating up the roots and killing the farm. Every single resistance you get from your partner is a mole. It's her revealing a mole. It's a mole revealing itself in the farm that's killing your relationship. And so whether you know it or not, whether you know these moles are killing the relationship or not, it's killing the relationship. So whenever you get a resistance, that's a mole popping up. And when that mole pops up, you can grab it, you can toss it aside, and you can turn it from negative into positive. But if the mole never comes up, then you can never do that. Whenever you get a resistance, that's an opportunity, guys, for you to find out something that's killing the relationship and turn it from negative into a positive. So for my relationship, for example, I can ask my partner every single day for a whole year, asking her, hey, what are you resisting? What do you not like about me, the relationship? What are you unhappy about? And she will never tell me. But it's those moments when, let's say we're driving, and I say something to trigger her. And this resistance can be revealing something that she's been keeping in her mind for a very, very long time. When my partner resists me like that, I get really, really interested in it. I get really happy about it. I give it a chef's kiss because that's revealing something. Now that I know about it, I can do something about it. I can turn it from negative into positive. But if I never triggered her, if she never feels triggered, if I never allowed that because I covered the holes and I pretended like nothing happens, then she can never really reveal those things. And if you think about it, this is what strong leaders do too, in a company, in a business, in that the best leaders always know what the real problems are. They always want to know what the things that are killing the relationship, the business are. And if, let's say, a leader reacts badly, sees their employees giving them bad news or conflict as a threat, and they feel threatened by it, they respond badly with the 3 toxic phases that we talked about, active, stoic, passive, and they destroy safety, then the problems are not going to go away. The problems are still going to be there, but now your employees just won't tell you about it. It's kind of the same thing here. You want to know these problems. You want to know, you want to get these resistances. It's a matter of, once you get them, how do you respond to it? So number 4, change your definition of what it means to be a masculine figure. So we talked about earlier about how a lot of men see resistance as a threat to their manhood. But again, we talked about this in so many of our videos already that being a man being a leader isn't really about being the perfect product, it's having the perfect process. So if you want to watch a video on this, I'll link a video above my head here, also down below this video, for an in-depth look into what this actually means, what having the perfect process actually means. And if you can make this shift, then you can find yourself not being so defensive, not being so threatened every time you get resistance. And number 4, be slow to judge character, guys. And for this one, we talk about concepts like the fundamental attribution error. And again, I'll link it down below this video. But as humans, we tend to blame resistance as someone's character problem very, very quickly. But when we look at ourselves, we often see that the reason why we resist is never about a character problem, but always about some environmental issue. Oh, because my partner did this, because I feel this. So when you get rid of this fundamental attribution error mindset, it can really help you work through and feel through your partner resisting you in a much healthier way as well. And all these things I've told you, the 4 things I've told you, are all the short-term things you can do. These are the 4 crucial mindset shifts that you can make today, that you can learn to make today, that can really get rid of this allergy to resistance, that can really help you not only reconcile, but also prevent more breakdown of the relationship, more hemorrhages in the relationship as well. In the long term, what my clients do is they find the middle ground between the 2 extremes, again, of being resistant to this extreme of getting too much resistance, being scared of resistance, to wanting no resistance. They find the middle where they actually embrace resistance. They actually encourage resistance. And often, sometimes they properly create the right resistance in a way, just like an example that I showed you earlier with me sitting in the car and me triggering my partner, for example. And the idea is that you want this resistance to come up, to show, and you want to be able to use the right internal shifts and the right external shifts, the right frameworks to be able to turn that from negative into positive. So I'm not saying here to just create resistance whenever you can. It's create resistance, allow those to come up, and when they come up, turn them from negative into positive. And these internal shifts and external shifts, guys, are not some things that you can master overnight. A lot of my clients take 6 to 24 months to really master this. Jason Newman, my employee, who many of you have spoken with, took him 22 months. It took me 25 months to really master everything and to really see some changes in my relationship. Because again, guys, to break through the paradox of change, you need to master something not until you can get it right, but until you can't get it wrong. And that takes a long time. That takes a while. Now, this might sound like a long time, but when you do master this stuff, when you can take resistance well internally, but also externally, that's when you can create thriving relationships wherever you go. You can enjoy this benefit for the rest of your life. But for those people who are seeing this as too much work, and they want to take the easy way out, they want to take shortcuts, they want to escape this, they'll keep finding themselves repeating the same mistakes over and over again, having struggling relationships over and over again, and they waste 5, 10, 15 years, who knows? Some people even waste the rest of their life. So again, guys, this is your choice, this is your life. I'm just trying to tell you what has worked for me and thousands of my clients as well. So if you want to learn more about what these internal shifts are and also what these external shifts are, and learn about the system, the internal shifts and the external shifts for you to design a thriving relationship, for you to create safety, break the feedback loop, and remove this allergy that you have to resistance and turn it from negative to positive, then I want you to join me in my masterclass on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up. In that masterclass, I'll show you the exact steps all my clients have used to get them from a brink of a divorce to where they are today in a thriving state, internally and externally in a relationship as well. So if you want to join the masterclass, or if you want to apply for the Relationships Revival program, then you can click the link above my head also down below this video as well, guys. For now, I'll leave you with just 2 other videos with more skills and knowledge for you to design a thriving relationship by yourself. And down below as well, I left you with a lot of resources that will give you more knowledge to synthesize all that you learned here in this video alone. So with that, guys, I'll see you in the next video.